and welcome to Central Florida Salute. I'm here at Osprey Lodge in Tavares, Florida, and I have the pleasure of having a friend of mine, my good friend Bill Suchy, who is with the Florida Media and Art Center, which is kind of what we're under, thanks to Bill. We are a not-for-profit, and Bill's the guy who holds the license. And he's brought a little video that for us to share. And, well, Bill, I'd like you to tell us about it.
Okay, well, a few years ago, I was able to make a film called Silver Wings, Flying Dreams about the women Air Force service pilots of World War II. And it really perked my interest in World War II veterans. And I found a community in Stuart, Florida, that had 17 World War veterans still living in it. And I found 4 of them that graciously agreed to be interviewed and tell us about their actually battle experiences. So the film we made, this is a short version of the film. It features 4 World War II veterans, heroes, that put their life on the line and telling the stories how they did that. So it's a kind of an amazing group of people there.
Well, I want to thank you for bringing it, Bill. And by the way, if you want to see the documentary, it's still available, is it not?
Oh, yeah. Silver Wings, Flying Dreams is on Amazon, it's on Prime Television, and it's on Vimeo. So you just go to vimeo.com or amazon.com or on Prime TV. Just put in Silver Wings, Flying Dreams, and it'll come up.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of doing an interview with Bill when I was with Lakefront TV, and that's on our YouTube channel too, so you can see that. The documentary is fantastic, and I want to thank you for bringing along this short video, and let's check it out.
Great.
I was a junior at Norwich University, and we were about to enter our second semester at the beginning of February. And there were 85 left of us in the class, and we volunteered together.
Well, I was part-time at a university, and I'd been there for about 2.5 years, and suddenly December the 7th, 1941 came forth, and it occurred to me that being a pilot, I'd never been in an airplane in my life, would be an interesting idea.
Well, I was working in the chemical industry when I went into the service, and I was a draftee, and was very, as an enlisted man, very quickly was selected to go to the officers' training.
Well, I was working as a chemist in Mobile Oil's research department. I had in mind that my brother was a Marine in the Pacific, another brother was in the Air Force, and I began to feel more and more that I had to participate and contribute my share to this effort.
So Dad said, Jay, we're going to be in a war. He said, now I'll send you anywhere in the country, but I think West Point is a better solution. And then I was called to a meeting to decide what branch do I want to be in and where do I want to go. So I had available Hawaii as my first station. What am I going to do the rest of my life? And it's going to be an engineer. 5 minutes of 8, and I'm in bed. And there are airplanes maneuvering overhead. I can hear them. And then there's a big bang. I said, oh gosh, somebody's crashed. So I put on my bathrobe and went out in front where I could see there were airplanes with a red circle on them dropping bombs on Wheeler Field. I'm volunteering to cancel my leave and report to my unit. So I got on my uniform and bummed a ride because I had sold my car up to the 34th Engineers. And when I got there, the colonel said, I'm glad to see you. I'm going to send you down to Honolulu because we don't know what's going on. And we went down the Cunea Road, a straight shot to Pearl Harbor. I could see that there were ships sinking. There were airplanes bombing, attacking all over. So I could see those 30 airplanes were heading right at us to go back to the carrier. So I ordered my driver to stop. We got off. We fired at the Japanese airplanes. I aimed 4 lengths ahead of the first airplane coming ahead with 29 others, I estimate. And I fired about 4 rounds at this airplane. It went right on, but I feel sure I hit some part of it, no good. Meanwhile, my driver and the sergeant were also firing, and then my gun jammed. I never shot at anything in honor before, and I was a little excited. The sergeant came up and unjammed the gun, and then I went on shooting. All 3 of us fired. We probably fired as many as 50 or 60 rounds, but we shot back at that enemy.
They assigned us a section, and I had a section and had my platoon actually looking into the cellars because they thought that the German spies they came over at night to get what information they could. And in one particular cellar, when we went into, I come up to a bin area, like maybe that they would have either potatoes or something in there. And as I walked there, there was a voice saying, "We surrender, we surrender." At that time, I went in, and I don't know why, but it was a concrete opening. Anyway, at that time, it was quiet, so I took a step back and into the thing, and the SOB threw a hand grenade at me. Fortunately, I took the step back, exploded next to my head, but I had the concrete. So all I did was get a lot of shrapnel in my face. And I wasn't very happy, so I went in there blazing with my carbine, and I wounded them. And then they really surrendered. And later on, talking to our intelligence, they broke down the officer, and they got very valuable information of what was happening in the Siegfried Line.
Every time we went on a mission, and this was not true for us only, it was true for everyone, we had the radio on, and there across would come an American voice, female, young woman, and say, "Good morning, fellas. My name is Mary Jones," or whatever she said. "And tonight you're going to be bombing the oil field over in western Bulgaria. We will welcome you with our Air Force," she said. "You can bet on that." And she would chat and play American songs. Now, she did that with every mission. How she knew exactly where we were going on every mission had to be because they had spies planted behind our lines in various places. She never stopped until the war was over.
So we heard a call back when we were over the North Sea, a woman's voice came over and said, the weather is horrible. The 8th Air Force aircraft all returned to England. And the leader, very bright fellow, said, I don't believe that that's an authentic American voice. I get a little German in there. We're going forward. Well, nobody really wanted to go to Berlin. It was the toughest mission there was. And over 200 and some turned back. My leader went with maybe 100 aircraft to the target. By the time we went over the target, there were about 50, and by the time we got home, there were 13, which means all of the ones that stuck with the colonel were down to 13. And when you think of that, you think of 10 nice, fine, young American fellows that were shot down and killed. The pilots almost never got out. One full colonel was trying to get out. And there's a little sliding glass window, plexiglass, on the right side of the cockpit where the leader sits. And he had fire in the cockpit. And he slid that thing back, and his head and shoulders were out of that window. The rest of him couldn't get out. And then, boom.
From ship to ship, I finally arrived at the Swanee. And there I learned I was going to be head of the gunnery division. I was to be assigned a 4-hour watch every day running the entire ship. Here at the age of 23, I would be running a ship with 22 planes. We were there for about 3 months. Our planes flew 30,000 sorties onto Guadalcanal, where they destroyed planes on the ground, attacked the bases, military bases, and so on. They also destroyed 9 Jap planes in aerial combat. And we also destroyed a number of these kamikazes attempting to ram our ship. But during that 3 months, we dropped 1 million pounds of bombs onto Okinawa and 6,000 rockets. We were resupplied constantly by ships who would resupply us during the day because the Japs attacked usually at night.
We were to clear a section. We got through the woods, we were out in an open field, and we see, I think there was 3 or 4 guys coming towards us, and they looked like they were clad in striped pajamas. But we soon, they come upon us, they kissed our feet, oh my God. And we realized that they told us they were German prisoners, and I think it was Erdorf concentration camp. So when we realized, we gave them whatever rations we had. So it was our division that liberated Erdorf.
When we arrived at the river, there was, oddly enough, all bridges were blown. I crossed on foot, crouching, with my carbine. So I went about half a mile or more up the river by myself, and I'm ahead of everybody in that unit. So I'm leading that unit in front. No argument. So I found a spot, came back, joined them on the friendly side, and we drove up the road to where I saw a boat. It was docked. That's where we're going to build the floating bridge. First I said, Reichman, do you agree that this is correct bridge? Yeah, I do, Colonel, Major at that time. So I said, start work right away. So, okay, here's the 3rd Armored Division, which has made a major breakthrough. And I'm waiting on the edge of the river to further break through. And they've got a lot of tanks. And the floating bridge was our best bet to be the earliest. And he finished in 5 hours.
We arrived back at Guadalcanal, and while we were anchored there, we got the news that the U.S. had atom bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And so the war ended in a few days. But in that interim, a last kamikaze struck the USS Pennsylvania, which was anchored 3,000 yards near us. And that was my real last taste of the war.
We always thought when we sat down for breakfast, who's going to be here for tomorrow's breakfast? Those were the things that were most in our minds.
But I learned about myself, that I could do all sorts of things and make good sense decisions in life that I never thought I could on a large scale.
That's something you never forget.
Well, Bill, I want to thank you for bringing along that footage that we just saw. And it's time to say goodbye. So join me, will you? To all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time.